Hey, everybody. Grant Miller here. I'm with Commissioner Higgins. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
It's great. Tell us exactly where your district is. You have one of the most unique districts in Dade County.
I do. I represent about half of the city of Miami Beach, and then probably a third of the city of Miami. So I have Miami Beach, downtown, Brickell, a lot of the Coral Way neighborhoods like Shenandoah, Silver Bluff,
Five
the
corners.
roads.
The roads.
Yep.
I call it Five Corners.
We're
The intersection.
I know the intersection, and I'm fixing that intersection. I finally got money to put a traffic circle there to make it safer.
And by the way, in your district is what's that burger place called? The Mighty.
Oh, the Mighty. Yes. Yes.
Locally owned.
Locally owned, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
They're great.
They're a fantastic
mother-son people.
Neighborhood place. Yeah.
It's
really,
interesting.
Really
Your district, you have half of Miami Beach, very high-end Miami Beach, correct?
Yeah.
And then you get if people don't realize it's hard to manage. When I say manage as commissioner, because you have the richest of the rich, and then you have the poorest of the poor.
I represent Little Havana and Fisher Island. So there's no comparison in the needs of those two communities. And one zip code's the richest in America, and in the other, an average family of four makes $22,000 a year. So the needs are different. It makes the job much more meaningful to have a really diverse district because we get to look for different solutions for different people.
Have you been to Casa Florida yet?
The little one in yes,
next to Jose Marti.
Yes, exactly.
It's pretty crazy because you pull up, go, there's something wrong, and you read all the reviews and you get inside, go, wow,
it's just charming, right?
Yes,
just charming.
Yeah, it's quite unique. Now, how many years you been a commissioner?
I've been just over 3 years.
When did you move to Miami?
I moved to Miami the first time in 2008. Then I got transferred around because I was with the State Department, and then moved back in 2014.
What did you do at the State Department?
I was a diplomat. Don't I look diplomatic too?
Oh, absolutely. Like what? So what does a diplomat do?
Well, it depends. So I did a couple of projects or major areas of work while I was there. One, particularly when I was in Mexico, I did a lot of
Mexico.
Yes, I did a lot of work on anti-cartel and working on reforming the justice system there at the height of the violence. Then I was also lucky enough to work a lot in Southern Africa, and that was a lot of economic development, a lot of port.
You went to South Africa.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah, many times. South Africa, Botswana.
How many languages do you speak?
Spanish and English.
Spanish, English, and Spanglish.
Spanish, English, Spanglish, and Spanglish the best of the three.
I have ADD, so I jump around. Where were you born?
I was born in Ohio. I lived
Where?
Dayton at the Air Force Base. My dad was in the Air Force. I lived there for exactly 29 days. So I remember nothing about the state of Ohio. But I grew up in New Mexico. I spent my whole childhood, went to college, everything in New Mexico.
What college did you go to?
University of New Mexico.
So your father you're a military brat.
Yes. But he left the military when I was about 7. So I moved around when I was itty bitty, but then we really grew up in New Mexico. That was my childhood home.
The weather? How's the weather there?
The weather is lovely. Very low humidity, so you wear a lot of chapstick. But it's cold in the winter.
I'll keep that
high altitude. Yeah. If you visit New Mexico, bring some
I'll wear my chapstick. The county is moving so quickly and improving so quickly. There's so many things to do. And your district is really unique. You have Miami Beach, you have City Miami, you have any unincorporated?
I do. I have Fisher Island, which is unincorporated. And there's an area called Palmer Lake, really close to the airport. It's mostly industrial.
Where is that?
It's just east of 37th Avenue and south of the river. It really is mostly industrial. So there'd be no reason if you didn't work there or own a business there for you to go. If you don't know it's there, you might not know it's there.
Again, the county is doing so many great things because the county is moving so quickly. How many thousands of people move into Dade County each year? Do we have that number yet?
Well, I don't know. We probably do have that number, but I don't have it. You should have sent me that question in advance. I would have had my little fact sheet.
No, but it's an interesting thing. I don't think we have the exact numbers.
No, but people are moving here, and they have moved here dramatically. I think COVID certainly raised our profile as a place where People could be outside more of the year because we don't have any snow here, and so people have moved here.
Just speak about COVID. Tropical Park is one of the locations. Everybody in our building has had 2 shots of the 45 people. We have only one person who decided not to have, and they work at night. Of the 45 people, 35 of them started to get the booster.
Good.
And of the 45, I think 30%, no, 30 of them have already got their flu shot. So
you're keeping us safe.
We're right. But I still go to Tropical once a week.
Yeah.
And get tested.
Get a test.
On Wednesday, I go Wednesday night about 9 o'clock when it's empty.
Yeah.
It takes less than 10 minutes to get in, tested, and out.
No, the county has done a great job on testing. People, it's interesting because I have family in other parts of the country and they have to pay to get a test. Nobody has to pay to get a test here. We have sites. Some of them are open 24 hours a day. Tropical's 24 hour. We have walk-up sites for people that don't have cars or just prefer not to drive and wait in their car. And they're all over the county and it's free. And so if you get the sniffles, get tested. And what you're doing is proactive, right? Because, and this did happen to a friend of mine. She went to get a test before she was getting on an airplane. She had COVID. She had no symptoms. She was fully vaccinated, which is, of course, what the vaccine's supposed to do, right? I mean, prevent us from feeling symptoms and going to the hospital. But she found out by proactive testing.
Right. So I go, I get tested, and at that present time, I didn't have it. So, but every Wednesday I go, and just to feel good, make sure that we treat our people right here. Okay, let's talk about some interesting things. We have the underline first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The underline, and I don't know if it's part of the group underline, but near the City Miami police station, right underneath, they have skateboarding.
Yes. Yeah. That's not part of the underline, but it's part of activating underutilized spaces under highways or under train tracks.
Wow.
Fun and good, clean fun.
Oh, I would never get on a skateboard, but okay. So underline, let's talk a little bit about it because I think that we don't use enough of it. And I think it's getting there.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
The underline is going great. This is a project we should be really proud of. The first phase of the underline, which is the Brickell backyard, is already open. If you haven't been there, go.
What's under there?
It is unbelievable. So we have huge outdoor tables. We have ping pong tables you can play at. We have basketball courts. We have miniature soccer courts. We've got a dog park.
I see the basketball courts. I had not seen ping pong.
Oh, that's new. These are really cool. They're new tables that have been designed by an artist so they can stay outside. So you can play ping pong.
Almost like cement.
Yes, it's fantastic.
You bring your own paddle, or
yes, you can bring your own paddle, but we also have a system there where we're activating for little youth entrepreneurs. We have kids activities every weekend. It's fantastic. So, okay, that's open, but that's only 1 mile of our 10 miles. The next phase is under construction. We broke ground on the part that will continue south of Brickell, so south of Coral Way, and go all the way to 22nd Avenue. So you're going to see a lot of construction going on. As a matter of fact, on my way here, we went by it, and there's people working. So they're working fast and furiously to build that second phase. And then the county is in procurement for the third phase, and that's going to be the last phase. And what is really significant is a year ago, we applied for a federal grant for the underline, and I'm not sure we expected to get it, but we did. And it's a very significant amount of money, almost $25 million.
For the underline.
Yes. And that is enabling us. Originally, we were going to build the underline in 6 segments. That is enabling us to finish it in 3. So we're in the middle of hiring doing the procurement for the folks that'll go from 22nd Avenue to Dadeland South. But that's going to be one project. So really, we might be done in less than 4 years. It's fantastic. And then Ludlam Trail is being built.
So we'll talk about Ludlam Trail. The underline, what's interesting, underline is now alive.
Oh, yeah.
Before, you're almost scared to run on it. Down south, you're going to be on, that's the last phase, correct?
Yes. So this is actually going to be quite interesting. The underline is a catalyst. Right? We had the underline moving here. We had Ludlam moving here. But Now that the South Dade corridor is under construction from Dadeland South down to Homestead, part of that entire project is beautiful new bike lanes going all the way down. So you will literally be able to go from Brickell to Homestead on a bike
path.
On a bike path.
But not the skinny tires, bigger tires usually.
Just nice, beautiful bike path. But what Commissioner Danielle Cohen Higgins is doing on that is she brought Meg from the underline down to look at, and we're starting to study, once the underline is finished, could we bring some of the underline amenities or ideas around how a bike path, it's not just a bike, the underline isn't a bike path and it's not a walking path. It is a linear park that's activated. It will be. And so now we're looking at how we might be working on that. And Danielle, Commissioner Cohen Higgins is really working hard on that.
So Ludlam Trail used to be trains. People don't know that. And it's crazy how the world changes. There used to be a train on the bus lane.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden somebody said, we don't need trains here. And then all of a sudden we went to something else, sat empty. And then we went to buses and we want to go back to trains. And Ludlam Trail was bus. It's too hard to change now. But tell me about Ludlam Trail, because I know you just kicked something off at Barnes Park.
Yes. So Commissioner Sosa, of course, and
Commissioner
Sosa and Commissioner Regalado are in the lead on Ludlam Park. And Commissioner Sosa done a wonderful job making sure that we get federal money and we get some money from the state of Florida to build out that trail. So they started breaking ground on the Ludlam project.
And that runs from where to where?
Well, it's all kind of starts up almost near the airport, goes down south, and then we'll connect via, into the underline. So
it's interesting because on Bird Road, they're building all these apartment buildings right next to Ludlam Trail.
Yes, and that's part of the county's strategy is to, when we're at a major node, like, Bird Road, we can add a little bit of density, because the idea would be if a person can bike to wherever they're working or bike to the grocery store or bike to another street, or walk or push their baby, that we would get a few more people out of their cars for maybe not forever, maybe not all year long, but for a couple trips a week.
That Bird Road location, probably a couple hundred apartments, right? It's a lot of apartments. They will. Why would you get in a car to go a half mile?
No. Why would you? You wouldn't. When you have a nice place to go.
Correct.
Would you walk on, in the sun on the highway with cars going by? Maybe not. It's not such a nice experience. So all of these things are really designed to get us moving and maybe reduce the number of car trips we need to take.
One of the things that you have advantage of, that you've been all over the world plenty of times. So you've seen so much how we were ahead in certain areas. In certain areas, we are way behind.
Yes.
And, people call it traffic. I don't call it traffic. I call it a transportation issue. It's not traffic, but I happen to like traffic. You know why I like traffic? That means there's business.
There's stuff is happening.
Yeah. But it's not a traffic problem. It's a transportation issue that we're having. So throughout Dade County. So let's talk about the better bus lines.
Oh, the better bus network. Been working on this for over 3 years.
And you ride the bus mostly.
I ride the bus a lot. I can ride the train because I happen to live downtown, but the bus network is actually the backbone of our transportation system. We spend a lot of time talking about how do we build trains. We need those for the future. How do we build new technology? How might we add a monorail? How might we add this, that, and the other thing? But right now, 8 out of 10 of our transit riders are on the bus. And many of them are on the bus out of necessity. They're not transit riders by choice. They're transit riders by need, right? They either can't afford a car or they work somewhere where they can't afford to park their car. And the bus system has not been redesigned in, 40 years.
The bus line.
Correct. Our bus network, the last time we did a comprehensive redesign of it was when we built the Metro Rail. So essentially, it's just been straggling along. And what we did is we started with Transit Alliance to do a grassroots, put the rider first process, where we literally interviewed people, the riders, where they were, which meant at bus stops, on the bus. We did a data analysis of where people went, where they couldn't get to, where do they live now, where are major employment centers. And guess what? When you looked at it, there were huge parts of the county that didn't have frequent bus service. For example, out west, you could go east-west, but you couldn't switch north-south. We had never put frequent bus lines. So the Better Bus Network has completely redesigned. We got unanimous approval, which took a lot
From the county.
from the county
Commissioners.
unanimous.
That's rare.
That's rare. And it's a fantastic program. It will take us about 6 months, 7 months to roll it out. Probably roll it out in June because we've got to redo some bus stops. We've got to communicate with our existing riders, tell new riders. But essentially what we're doing is we're bringing what I call high frequency bus service to an additional 350,000 residents. What I mean by high frequency is a bus arrives less than 10 minutes, less than 15 minutes all day long, right? Right now we have some high frequency routes, but they're only during rush hour. But that means you can't get rid of your car because if you need to go to the doctor at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., you can wait for an hour. So we now have 350,000 of our residents with high frequency bus service. The average wait time all day long is 7.5 minutes. And it is a dramatic improvement when you can walk out of your house, go to a bus stop, and you don't have to wait an hour. You suddenly can be a bus rider all day long. It's a pretty dramatic change. There's been one other city that's done a change as dramatic as ours, and that is Houston. And they are one of the only communities in the United States that has increased their bus ridership. So that's our goal, get the people that use the system to work or school faster, and to convince other people that there's now a bus system that might work for them, because the one we have now doesn't work for a lot of people.
Well, I was in Atlanta a couple weeks ago. They have a great system.
They have a great system, yeah.
And Washington, D.C., I'm on the rail. It stops. It's a problem. We all get off. Within minutes, they had somebody with a sign that said, got to take this bus.
Yeah.
So we got to get to that system.
Yeah.
Doral is, to me, Doral and Miami Beach. You don't have to have a car there. If you work and live there, Doral, they have a great program. Juan Bermudez has done a great job. The mayor of Miami Beach, who has, I think it's underestimated. I bet you on a weekend, 150, 200,000 people. That bus line, you see the buses, people piling in. So hats off to Mayor Gelbert and Mayor Bermudez for making their city user-friendly, work, live, and play. And it's tough. And that's Miami Beach is huge, and Doral is becoming mammoth.
And let me tell you, they're a pleasure to work with, right? Because both of these cities, this Better Bus Project actually makes bus service in Doral and Miami Beach better, right? So, because the counties run the buses there, but they run trolley systems, and they have been so wonderful to work with, because as we're adjusting the bus system, if we act like the Doral trolleys and our bus system are one network, we can make it better.
Absolutely.
And so Doral might make some tweaks to the trolley system to work with our bus. Miami Beach is doing the same. So essentially, it becomes a ground network. It's irrelevant whether it's a county bus or a city trolley. It's all about how we get to work. Nobody cares who runs it. They just want it to be efficient.
I'm not going to go into detail because I don't know enough about it. They're trying to build something from city of Miami to Miami Beach, like a trolley.
Yeah.
Not trolley.
Yeah. It would be an elevated solution.
I call it Disney World.
Yeah.
So we won't get into that right now. One of the issues I have about transportation is, you see, I drive by bus stops or metro rail stops. This person is waiting. They're not waiting for a bus. They have to figure out how to walk home in the pouring rain. So if you go by 152, not everybody has cars.
Right.
Or you go by 100, whatever the next bus stop you go, maybe one day this county will figure out a system how to get them home from the last.
Yeah.
Is it called the last mile?
It's that they call it first last mile, right? Because every public transportation trip starts in your sneakers, right? So how do you do that? And there's different ways. Obviously, you can bring an umbrella. I lived in New York. Nobody cared about the first last mile. You came out of your apartment building, you put your raincoat on, and you had your umbrella.
But you were born that. New Yorkers are born. You got to do this.
You got to do it. You want to get to work, you just put your little umbrella up and you go. We're not used to that here. We're used to, more of a car-based economy. So there's lots of ways you can do it. One of it is trees, right? Making our streets have more shade, because shade not only cuts the heat down, but quite frankly, keeps the rain off us a lot of times.
Absolutely.
Right. But the other thing is we are piloting some really cool projects. It's called Go Connect. And there's an app, just look for it. In a couple of neighborhoods, we're trying a system. It's not quite like Uber or Freebie that you can go wherever you want. You can go from where you are to a transit hub. or to a bus stop. And so we are right now already piloting that. For example, we are piloting one up near the Civic Center, which of course has a trolley station, several buses, and a train and a metro rail.
The Civic Center is a city of its own.
It's a city of its own. But if you work down here at the public defender's office or at the state attorney's office or at the courthouse, it's quite a walk, 15 minutes to get to the train station. You got to cross major roads to do it. So what we're piloting is you can just say, and I need to go to the metro rail or I need to go to the trolley stop. And we're doing that in several different parts of the county now. So check that out. It might work in your area. And we wanted to pilot this before the Better Bus Project, before the South Dade corridor opens, before the East-West corridor opens, to see what's working.
Some of the cities get that half penny sales tax, and they all started this trolley, and it mostly failed in all the cities. Now they're doing freebie. I use the word freebie, but it could be anybody getting people from one location to another location. And it's like in South Miami where our office is located.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it because now they don't have to get on a trolley and go somewhere, and the person takes them right to the stop, keeps people off the car. So I think it's working.
Yes, I think there was a lot of learning in how we first did it. And it's not just learning on the county's part, it's also learning on the user's part. How do I use it? Can I use it? Breaking our usual model, which is go to the driveway, get in the car, versus, hey, let me see where I can do and go. So there's a new technology is allowing a lot of really interesting, great ways for us to become more flexible about getting out of our cars more frequently or forever, depending on what you want to do.
I just people go, sometimes people take Uber or whatever it may be, but then you don't have to pay.
Still a car.
Right. Yeah, true. But you don't have to. For me, you don't have to pay the parking. You don't have to walk in the rain. You got a project called the Human Capital.
Oh yeah, this is something we approved this week. I've been working on it for a long time. Obviously, Miami and Miami-Dade County, we're on the map as being an attractive place to do business. But there are other attractive places in the country to do business, right? Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina. And
Texas, didn't we just get the Formula One from Texas? From Austin. They had it a couple years.
Yeah, they did.
So
they did.
People want to come to us.
People want to come here. And so what we've been working with through the Beacon Council, and I'm on the board of the Downtown Development Authority, we have been involved with trying to attract a number of companies to come here. And the county has a program to attract new companies to locate here, but it requires a capital investment, meaning you got to build a building or you got to build a factory. It really doesn't. We have nothing to incentivize you if you say, I want to relocate my company headquarters here. I want to bring 150 jobs. I have a company we're working with 450 jobs. I have another one that might bring 1,500 jobs. All these jobs pay over $100,000 a year on average, which is huge for our economy. And we cannot fund them because they're not investing physical capital. They're investing in human capital. I'll just give you an example. There was one company that basically wanted to, in the first 3 years, they would bring over 150 jobs. And over a 10-year period of time, that's like a $200 million investment. But they didn't meet the $3 million investment in physical capital. We could not offer them a penny. And in the meantime, you've got Texas, North Carolina, all these other people and all these other places really aggressively going
Give
after
them the
these.
kitchen sink to get
Give
them.
them a kitchen sink, and we have nothing. And the state of Florida used to have an incentive program, but they've gotten rid of it. So we're on our own here in Miami-Dade County, and we launched. It was unanimously approved. I created a structure, and so that got approved on Tuesday. And
how many people voted for it?
Everybody.
Another unusual thing.
Unanimous. So, but I think, you'll find on our commission, we may agree on little things, but when
the big picture things,
picture things, when whether it's me or one of my colleagues presents something that makes sense, is good for the county, we tend to be very, very cohesive about it. And this program applies everywhere in the county. So if somebody's looking to be in Homestead or somebody's looking to be in UMSA or we can attract all kinds of businesses. So now we have the two programs. One, if you want to build a factory or a plant or a new building, and one, if you're just bringing lots of people with good high paying jobs. That means we can recruit across the spectrum. financial companies, technology companies, and manufacturing companies. So it's all good.
I cheated Coral Gables. They have a great system too.
Yes,
And-
you did.
And
They
this
do.
Vince Lago, I apologize.
Yes, don't let Vince know.
And
We
the,
forgot.
and the city of
Vince, we're
city of
sorry.
Hialeah is almost there. And now that our favorite county commissioner Bovo is now the mayor of Hialeah,
And he's a transit guy
right,
too.
he will make Hialeah. That is the
Yeah.
blue collar of Dade County. I have a shirt. I love Hialeah. I got it from Miami-Dade. Hialeah is really climbing real fast. So that transit system is important. Even though they have the rail, within Hialeah, there's so many people that are working.
Yeah.
So I think we talked about everything about transit.
Yeah.
We transit out. We talked about Ludlam Trail. That again, Ludlam Trail is going to be huge, but the underline is it sends a message to people when they drive by that the county cares about all of it.
Yep. And it's the catalyst. You're going to see more and more multimodal people. Once we can go here on the underline, they're going to want to keep going on Ludlam, and they're going to want to keep going south, and they're going to keep going north. It will be,
there's
it's a snowball running.
There's people that are paying for it.
Yes.
If I'm correct, Baptist or Doctors Hospital, they spend a lot of money on certain spots.
This project has so much support. You have literally individual donors giving $20 a year to be a friend of the underline. So we have real people that just want to support it. You have the county government paying for it. You have the city of Coral Gables and the city of Miami, city of South Miami pitching in. You have private companies pitching in, University of Miami pitching in. We have the state government pitching in. We have the federal government pitching in. This is a win-win-win-win-win-win-win project.
Well, it's a team.
And as a result, everybody is making it happen. And I think we're seeing the same thing happen on Ludlam. And that's why Commissioner Cohen-Higgins really wants to work on that. What can we do? Dadeland South down.
And the new expressway being built, I don't know the number of it, so many different numbers. The one that goes to Miami Beach, they're redoing that expressway.
Yes.
And they're building a lot of stuff underneath that expressway too.
Yes. So this is going to be really interesting. The bridge is going to be much higher, which is how bridges are built now. But back in the day, you used to just say, well, whatever, this is a black neighborhood. We'll just build a bridge through it. Right through it and ruin people's lives, which is what happened in Overtown. Like, let's be very clear. So the highway is about as high as the ceiling in the room we're in. It's pitch dark underneath. Nothing can grow under it. It's pretty sketch. And that all, once the new higher bridge is open, all that low-lying underpass is all going to be torn out and thrown away. And we're going to have space, because the bridge is going to be so much higher, to build a park. And now it's going to connect Overtown over to the bay. So unlike what we used to do, where, what we used to be allowed with transit projects to destroy black neighborhoods, this is going to be a way to connect Overtown in a really safe, fun, activated way. And the other thing that's really...
they're going to be soccer fields out there.
It's going to be cool.
And
it's going to be really awesome.
And I understand that there's going to be places for people to play music.
Yes.
And people put little concerts on, local concerts.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Exciting. It's pretty awesome. And the other thing, the new bridge and over, because you have to have an overpass no matter what. It's going to be much higher. But the current overpass has huge columns basically every block. So we're going to eliminate 90% of those columns, because we're building that bridge differently, which makes it airier. You don't have to walk around concrete, wonder who's around that concrete. Is it creepy? Is it scary for me to? All it's just going to be gone. I realize it's a ginormous traffic interruption. That's miserable.
It's short term.
But
couple of
years, we're done with that.
That area is a little, I say, blighted, because you don't know where you're at. You go to your arts center, not that I go often, but you go, how do I get there? It's not pretty. So that all is connected. That's
all connected. Yeah, it's quite something.
And soccer, and as you know, the new sport in Miami is pickleball.
Yes,
pickleball.
I never thought those words would come out of my mouth.
Right. Soto just approved.
Exactly. I voted for it.
For Tropical Park.
Exactly.
And we have a bunch of pickleballers that come in here and complain that the county's had one lady come in to me and says, "You guys, the county's not doing enough." So of course I called
Senator Soto.
Well, no, I did, but I called Dade County Parks, and she started rattling off all the parks. They already had it.
They already have. They're everywhere. We just didn't. It wasn't as popular as it used to be.
Well, now it is, because now you don't
it's competitive.
Yeah, right. So you could be a pickleball champion.
Well, but I need a coach, I guess.
Yes. All right. So in the week, you ride the rail or the bus a little bit?
I ride the bus almost every week, and I ride the mover a lot because I represent Brickell, and it's just
Right.
easier to get to Brickell because parking's very expensive in Brickell, and I'm cheap. So and it's faster, and I don't have to worry about the drawbridges, right? If you're in a car. So that's that. And then the rail, if I'm headed anywhere down either to Brickell, you can take the rail, or down to the Vizcaya stop, or
When I was younger, I used to ride.
And the airport, I always ride the train to the airport again
It's
because
funny.
I'm cheap.
Frugal. But it's funny, in Atlanta, I used to take, until I knew the system, one of my sons lived there, I used to take an Uber to his place. Now I found the train system. That's a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, we used to take buses all the time.
Yeah, of course.
And all of a sudden, now they won't let kids ride buses. Not the bus won't, the adults won't.
Yeah, it's parents.
But we're big transit people in Miami.
Yeah. And you'll see like New World School for the Arts, which is right by the Government Center, Metro Rail.
Right.
All those students ride Metro Rail there, and then they walk the 3 blocks to school. They're very independent. It's a very safe mode of transit, and you do not see a line of cars there. It is the norm of that school that if your child, because it's a magnet school, people coming from all over the county, the parents are very comfortable that their child can be on the train safely. And because of course we have security at every train station on the Metro Rail. And by the way, we've improved our security on Metro Rail and Metro Mover last year dramatically at my request. And we've approved an incremental $10 million for Metro Rail, Metro Mover with police, not just with security guards, but to make sure that you have Miami-Dade police out there. So kids they're riding the train. They're going to New World School for the Arts.
And Mass. The kids ride them, and then they have transportation to the island.
Exactly. And we're just starting to break ground on a new middle school in Brickell. That'll be another one that's walking distance.
By the time you finish building it, it's going to be too small because
we know that. I have another project that's not ready for prime time that I'm working on, building another school. So stay tuned.
Thank you for coming down. And this is like the transit talk.
Okay, we'll have to have our own show.
Right, the transit talk. We thank you very much, Commissioner. Keep up the good work.
All right.
And everybody